Oh, no problem.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alright, inshallah, the brothers who are making their way inside, inshallah, we are about to start. We're asking everyone to please come inside as quickly as possible and sit in front. No one should be leaning against the wall. No one should be on their phones. If we find anyone on their phones, we'll take away our phones. So just make sure you come sit and quietly listen to the speaker. Everyone, kindly come inside as quickly as possible. Alhamdulillah, so far we had a very nice day. And you guys, I'm pretty sure you guys enjoy yourself. Did you guys enjoy yourself? Alright, very good, mashallah. So we have our last lap, we're going to have a lecture, and then we're going to perform Maghrib Salah. Right after Maghrib Salah, we have another lecture, and then afterwards, inshallah, we'll be having dinner. So, inshallah, this evening, it's my honor, pleasure to introduce you guys to a very good brother, a very knowledgeable brother. I haven't met him personally, but this is the first time. But inshallah, you'll hear from him. I want you guys to be very quiet, pay attention. No one should be talking while he's lecturing. I want to introduce all of you guys to our dear brother Umair Khan. So we have our brother Umair Khan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him tremendously for the effort. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cause us to benefit from him, inshallah. So without further delay, I want you guys to sit back, listen to him, inshallah. Be quiet. Jazakumullah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wal-aqibatu lil-muttaqeen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن العظيم والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. وقال تبارك وتعالى في مقام آخر يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال سبعة يظلهم الله في ظله يوم لا ظل إلا ظل الإمام العادل وشاب نشأ بعبادة الله ورجل قلبه معلق في المساجد ورجلان تحابا في الله اجتمعا عليه وتفرقا عليه ورجل دعته امرأة ذات منصب وجمال فقال إني أخاف الله ورجل تصدق بصدقة فأخفاها حتى لا تعلم يمينه ما تنفق شماله ورجل ذكر الله خاليا ففاضت عيناه صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. My dear respected brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope all of you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. First and foremost, I thank the management and I thank HIC for inviting me. I don't think I'm worthy enough to sit in front of you and give you any nasiha or talk to you, but it is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this talk will first be for me and then it will be for you guys. So may I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this gathering. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we benefit from His kalam, His words, and the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So, my dear respected brothers, since all of you guys are young, it is very important that we first understand that why we came in this world, right? Who can tell me why we came in this world? Yes. To what? To worship Allah, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about that in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. So everything that you see in this world, every single thing, even the carpets, even this table, this water, everything that you see, everything has a purpose, right? And we as humans definitely will have a purpose. Right? Not like what atheists say that we were just created out of nothing and we have no purpose. That makes no sense. Right? So we all have a purpose. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah said that He has not created the jinn kind, the mankind, humans, for any purpose except that we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is why we were created. Our maqsad, our purpose in this world is only to worship Allah. And then we leave this world and we depart. And for that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said that if a person was successful, then He will give him paradise. And if a person was not successful, then there will be hellfire for this person. So that is our fundamental and the main purpose of our living and our haya and our, the reason why we came in this world. But there will be problems. And that problem is shaitan. Right? Shaitan is the biggest issue that we have. Shaitan will never, ever, ever let you. He will try his best that you do not fulfill your purpose. Right? That's when a baby is born. Some people say that when he cries, it's because shaitan comes. Right? Shaitan comes to him and he says that, I'll be with you for the rest of your life. So shaitan will be with you when you are born and until you die. And his goal is to make sure that all of you, every one of us, go to hell. But your purpose is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now it's your job to find out the ways where you can avoid shaitan and fulfill your purpose. And for that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran what to do. He says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. What a beautiful, solution Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us. He says, O you who believe, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be amongst those who are righteous people, who are sadiqeen, who are truthful people. So if you are amongst these people, even if you're bad, eventually one day will come, you will be good yourself. Like right now, we're in the masajid, right? In the masjid. Now, the environment is so beautiful, the environment is so blessed that even if a person wants to sin in this environment, he can't sin. So that's why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, the masajid are the best places on this earth. There's no place that you can be in this earth right now better than this place. And the worst place, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, is the marketplaces. Why? Because the marketplaces is where all the sorts of sins are going on. And another thing is, a lot of you guys go to public school, college, high school, and there's all sorts of sins going on. Right? So that's another challenge for you guys, to avoid all those sins that are taking place. For example, you have because you are going to school with non-Muslims, a lot of you. And you will see these non-Muslims will be talking about having girlfriends, taking drugs, and doing all sorts of sins which you are not allowed to do. Now, if you're in that environment, sometimes you'll be tempted, even committing those sins. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma'a sadiqin. Be with the righteous people. Be with the good people. If you are with the good people, even if you're bad, inshallah, one day will come, you will also be righteous. So we have to make sure that we have good company at all times. Right? If we have to go to college, if we have to go to high school, then we have to make sure that we are doing some activities that where we are amongst righteous people. Or else we will fall off track and we will go a wrong way where we're not supposed to go. That's why you see a lot of people, sometimes you'll see they're really good, they're really pious, but then all of a sudden, they're just out of track and they're going the wrong way. Why? Probably because they didn't have good company. A person is good, he's righteous, but if he has bad company, that bad company will ruin him. Right? So that's why, my dear respected brothers, we have to make sure that we keep our environment good in order to be successful. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's a hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that I read, that on the day of judgment, there will be 7 people who have the shade under the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 1 is a person who is a just ruler, right? A person who is a just ruler on the day, because on the day of judgment, everybody will be, under the sun, where the sun, some people, the sun will be near their heads, and they'll be sweating. Some people will be sweating in their own sweat. That's how much they'll be sweating. And one day will be like 50,000 years. So it will be a very harsh day. So on that day, no one will have the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except these 7 kinds of people or more. And number 1 is a just ruler. A person who was a ruler over people, and he was a pious person, he was just in his ruling. Right? Because when a person comes in power, he wants to take advantage of those people who are under him. But if he's a just ruler, he fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he does not take advantage. Number 2 is for all of you guys, youth who grew up in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That person, and the youth is usually at the age of 13, 14, 15, that age all the way to about 30 years old. Some scholars say even 40. But from 15 to 30 is your youth. If this age, from 15 to 30, you give it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guarantees you the shade of Allah's arsh on the Day of Judgment. And why is it? Why is it the youth? Who can tell me why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said youth and not a person when he's old? Yeah. Because what? When you're what? Yeah, yes. It's harder to be righteous when you're young. Why? Because when you're young, you have all the strength, you have all the desires. You are young, right? And you are at like the most beautiful state of your life. And you have the strength to do so many things. But even despite all of that, you have the strength, you have the desires, but then you say no to those desires, those haram desires, and you say, no, Ya Allah, I want to worship you only. So Allah loves that so much. He says, because you did this for me, I will give you the shade of Arsh on the Day of Judgment. Number 3 is a person whose heart is attached to the mosques, right? That means that when he prays, for example, Asr Salah, then when he leaves the masjid, now he's thinking about Maghrib Salah. He says, when am I going to come back for a Maghrib? And his mind is just thinking about Maghrib the whole time. And then when he comes and prays Maghrib, then he's thinking about the next Salah, Isha. When am I going to come back for Isha? He makes sure that he does not miss Isha Salah in Jamaat. He makes sure that he doesn't go somewhere far, that maybe if he goes really far, then he won't be able to catch the Jamaat for Isha. And then when he prays the Isha Salah, then he's thinking about Fajr Salah. And then when he prays Fajr, then he thinks about Dhuhr. So his heart is just attached to the masjid. He just loves coming to the masjid. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes this so much also that He promises him the shade of the Arsh on the Day of Judgment. So we, us Muslims, should try our best to be at least in one of these categories. Okay? And number 4 is 2 people who love each other, meet each other, and depart from each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? They love each other and they meet each other and they depart only why? For what? Who can tell me? For the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They only love each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number 5, this one is a very hard one, and this really proves a person's sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how much he actually loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This one is actually one of the hardest out of all of these, and I'll explain why. Number 5, a man who is tempted by a beautiful woman of high status, but he rejects her saying, I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is this beautiful woman and she is of high status, and there is nothing stopping this person from committing sin with her. Right? She comes up and she says, I like you and let's do some sins together. But he says, no, I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that moment. And there is literally nothing stopping him. And we can understand this easily nowadays, right? Nowadays, because we have the phone, there's literally no one seeing our phone, no one's observing us. So this is much more easier nowadays. But still, this person says, I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and I cannot do this. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes his action so much that he said, I will give you. And he made this a special category in the 7 categories. From these 7 categories that he said, I will give you the shade on the Day of Judgment. And why is this, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make this specific? Because Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we can understand it from this hadith, that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that I am not leaving a trial, a fitna for men as worse as a fitna of women. Woman is actually the worst fitna for men. Right? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that I am not leaving any trial or any fitna as worse as the fitna of women. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs us in the Quran. He says, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. All you believing men, lower your gaze. When you walk outside the street, when you're going anywhere and you see a woman, you should lower your gaze. Because when you don't lower your gaze, that's where all the sin starts happening. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Right? Other acts, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do not do these acts. But when it comes to zina and fornication, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't even go near zina. Why? Because zina doesn't just happen right away. There are many steps that lead to zina. For example, number 1 is, yes, zina. It's basically having a girlfriend, something like that, yeah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He instructs us that, we stay away from zina as far as possible. And we do not even go near it. And number 6 is, and one who spends in charity and hides it such that his right hand does not know what his left hand has given. Meaning this person, he spends so much in charity, he gives so much sadaqah. Sadaqah is giving charity. He gives so much that his left hand doesn't even know what he has given. Meaning he gives so much that his left hand doesn't even know what he has given. Like it becomes part of him, of giving sadaqah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that one of the signs of the believer is that they spend from what we have given them. Meaning that whenever you give sadaqah, whenever you give charity, you're not giving from what you have earned. You're just giving from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided you from. Meaning you're not doing any special favor to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by giving sadaqah, because that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you anyways. You're just spending what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. And the last but not least is, and one who remembered Allah, the last one is, and one who remembered Allah in private and he wept. Right? The one who is in private, when he's in seclusion, when he goes in his room and he's all alone, and he cries to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because when he's alone, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this specific? Because when a person is alone, he can commit a lot of sins and there's no one watching him. Right? When a person is alone, he can commit so many sins and no one is watching him. But then this person, he decides, instead of committing sins, what does he decide to do? He cries to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? He's always fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, please forgive me for my sins. Ya Allah, please safeguard me from all the trials and tribulations that we face today. So this person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves it so much. He loves him so much that He gives him the shade of Arsh on the Day of Judgment. So my dear respected brothers, that is our goal in life, that we have to try our best to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The reason why we please our parents is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes pleased. The reason why we do anything in life is only to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what we should have on our minds at all times. Whenever we want to commit a sin at any time, we should think right away that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not be happy with this. So how can I, do something when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me? How can I do something wrong when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching? The one who fed me all these lives, all these years, right? All these years Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is feeding us. He's providing for us. Whenever we commit a sin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't even do anything to us. So why is it that we commit a sin in front of Him? So that's our purpose in this life, my dear respected brothers, that we should live our lives, how? By worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't mean that we sit in the masjid all day. No, that's not what it means. It doesn't mean that we're supposed to read Quran all day. It doesn't mean that we're supposed to just do dhikr, sit in the masjid, say La ilaha illallah all day. No, that's not what it means. It means that whenever we carry out our daily life, our daily activities, we are always conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are always conscious that whatever I'm doing, I have to make sure that I am not committing a sin. I am not committing a sin. And a person who does not commit sins is far better than a person who does a lot of good deeds but commits sins also. Right? Let's say we have a person who does a lot of good deeds. He prays tahajjud, he reads Quran all day, but he also commits sins. But then we have a person who doesn't really do a lot of nafil activities. These that are not obligated upon him, right? These nafil actions, they're not obligated upon him, and he doesn't carry out these activities, but he does the obligation. He just prays his 5 times salah. He doesn't really read much Quran. He doesn't read tahajjud, but he saves himself from sins, all of the sins. This person is far better than this person who carries out all these other actions, but commits sins also. So the most important thing in our lives as Muslims is to stay away from sins. Right? And in that sins, number one sin is of course committing shirk. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dislikes that the most. We cannot associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number two is the second biggest sin would be not praying salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made salah obligatory upon us how many times? 5 times a day. So our job is to pray 5 times salah no matter what happens to us. In the Quran, and the Nabi Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed the Sahaba radiallahu anhum when they were in the war, when they were fighting a battle, even then the Sahaba were instructed to pray salah. And there's a special way of praying salah in war also. But so look, imagine in those times, when difficult time, even then the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they had to pray salah. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So salah is one thing we can never leave out. And if we ever miss salah, we should try our best to pray it right away and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. And number 3, one of the major sins is, especially nowadays, is staying away from women. Women are very tempting. And the only way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed us to have a relationship with women is when we have a nikah with them, when we marry them. Besides that, there is no other way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it halal for us to have a relationship with a woman. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the tawfiq, to understand whatever has been said, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a tawfiq to live a life as true Muslims. Right. Yes, you have a question? When you get a certain age, yeah, you cannot. After 14, 15 age, when you're 14, 15, you cannot be friends with them. Yeah? Does anybody have any other questions? You guys if you have any sort of questions, you can ask me, inshallah. Any question, guys? Anything. It can be of any sort. Anything you guys are struggling with, or any questions you guys have about Islam, and you can definitely ask me, inshallah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. When banks give you what? Cash back? No, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. You're talking about like when you use a credit card and you get those rewards? Yeah, that's fine. Huh? The first thing that will help you on the day of judgment? So there will be a lot of things going on, but the first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question you on the day of judgment will be regarding your salah. So you're going to be in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala one-on-one, right? It's just going to be you and Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question you about your whole life. Right? So if you lived 50 years, 60 years, 40 years, 30 years, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will directly, you'll be in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the first thing He'll ask you is regarding salah. He'll ask you about how did you pray your salah, how many salahs you missed, and you have to give Him all of that account to Him on the day of judgment. Yes. What manhaj do I follow? Be more specific. Like I follow Hanafi fiqh, yeah. Yes. How much what? Oh, so you have to make an estimation, right? So let's say a person is 20 years old, right? And he reached puberty at around 14 years old. So he should make an estimation that, let's say, how many years of salah did he not make? If he never prayed, then he knows he has to make up like 6 or 7 years of salah. It depends on each person. How old are you? 10, okay. Yeah, so you should try to be punctual in your salah, inshallah.
So, Sheikh, the sisters have a question.
Yeah.
They wanted to ask, as sisters, even though the fitna on the brother side, it might be, women tempting.
Yeah.
So on the sister side, what are some of the trials, fitness, challenges that's happening that they can also look out for that?
Oh.
Yeah.
For the sister side, I would say that also there are sisters listening. Oh, I don't know. I thought there was only brothers. So for the sister side, women definitely have to be careful from men. That's number one thing. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed women like that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in the Quran too. He says, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beautified for men. Then the number one thing He mentioned is women. Right? So women and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made men and women differently. We have to understand that too, right? So men, the way men look at women is not the same way women look at men, right? Because men, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even talks about that in the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made men weak towards women. Like women naturally, they like to just beautify themselves. That's their fitna, right? They like to, show their beauty. That's why it's really hard for women to cover up, because they naturally want to show their beauty to everybody. And men, they naturally want to look at that beauty. So subhanAllah, like that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it. So for women, number one thing is they should try to cover themselves up, right? So men do not even look at them, and they're not tempted to look at them. That's number one. Number two thing is, the best thing to do is women should try to go to all girls school, right? That's number two. Because if you're gonna go to a school where there's men there, then most likely there's definitely chances of a lot of sins happening, right? So unfortunately, that it's true. We don't have a lot of girls' Islamic schools. We don't have that, that opportunity, a lot of opportunities where, girls can go to all girls school. But inshallah, in the future, we should have something like that. Or girls can even do online school, right? High school or even homeschooling. So that's the best option for girls. Even boys too, right? Why should even boys be going to school with girls? Again, I'm not talking about permissibility or not permissibility. I'm just talking about the best option. Right? So girls should try to limit their conversation with boys. They should try to hang out with all the girls, right? So have a circle of girls and try to be with the girls all the time, so that they don't even allow boys to even come in their, conversations or whatever their free time that they have and all that. Yes. The protests? Which protests?